There is a mysterious village where no man dares to approach as if cursed. It is home to lustful demons whose illusionary pleasure traps turn victims to ashes. Only Lihar broke that forbidden limit. The moment he was summoned, heaven and earth trembled and space froze unnaturally. Evil energy surged from the blood array, darkening the sky chillingly. It was because he carried the demon god blood system, a power feared even by monsters. Each time he absorbed a woman's blood, he gained a random mysterious attribute. Thus, he drained the life force of every demon, without hesitation. All disasters began in 2050, the year catastrophe struck humanity. A violent energy explosion shattered reality's barrier, opening a gate to another world. From there, alien beasts once myth flooded the human realm. Humans were dragged into a desperate survival war where normal weapons failed. To adapt, humanity began evolving beyond their limits. Many then gained extraordinary powers beyond human nature. But Heron was not among them. He remained ordinary with no special strength. Worse, he suffered a terminal illness threatening his life every hour. Yet, because of his mother's last wish and duty to protect his sister, he never gave up. He joined the beast hunting squad to defend mankind from calamity. Unable to evolve, he was assigned to guard supplies and collect spoils after battles. At first, the work was stable and uneventful. Even level 10 beasts were easily slain through teamwork. Despite the danger, the squad's morale stayed firm. But soon, Hin sensed a lurking ominous threat. The ground began to quake, warning of a buried catastrophe. Suddenly, a giant shadow burst from the forest at terrifying speed. It was the Titan serpent, a level 5 monster hundreds of meters long, once seen only on screens. The entire squad panicked, trembling as their souls fled their bodies. Reports had claimed only weak beasts, but this creature far exceeded all expectations. At that moment, Han's shout shattered their fear. "You want to die here? Retreat now." His eyes ablaze with will. His roar was a lifeline, jolting the squad awake as they scattered to escape. But the Titan serpent moved like thunder, catching them in an instant. Suddenly, Captain Chun Shi-Jiang appeared, blocking Heron's path. With icy calm, he swung his blade, flesh and blood spraying like a crimson fountain. As Hin stood in shock, a cold, despairing voice echoed like one from the underworld. "You're weak and useless, fit only as a sacrifice. Your sickly body won't last. Consider this redemption for your pathetic life." With that, Chun Shi-Jiang indifferently lifted Haroon's blood-soaked body. He threw him away without hesitation, like discarding worthless trash. That body was hurled straight toward the massive serpent rushing in. Bloodied all over, he became a lump of living flesh exposed in the forest. He looked like tempting prey before the serpent's fangs. The beast tasted his blood, then opened its jaws to devour him whole. In that instant, he felt the line between life and death vanish. But his mother's gentle voice echoed in his mind, "No matter the pain, live." Childhood memories flashed like a dying lamp flickering in the night. Suddenly, a blazing magic array appeared in the sky, drawing strange symbols. Dark energy gushed violently, pouring down like an infernal waterfall. Space tore apart, revealing a pitch-black gate to another world. A moment later, Heron, once thought dead, stepped out of the void, shining like a god. His body bore no wounds, skin flawless as if untouched by blood. The demons below roared in anger. One shrieked, "You dare steal my prize?" Another demonist sneered seductively, "My body is softer, yet you ignored me." Heron hurried to defend himself. "Please understand, I meant no disrespect. You all just seem a bit too passionate." The demonist named Nick turned cold, eyes dim. "So my form fails to stir your desire." Hans, realizing he had cornered himself. That seemingly trivial affection stat revealed a hidden secret of the demon god system controlling him. To seek revenge and absolute power, he had to fully exploit the system's latent might. Hentien Titone, smiling Xiaomingli. "Perhaps you misunderstood. Your beauty is truly all here are lovely, yet you alone possess unmatched allure." With a few flattering words, Nick's affection soared to near perfection. Then Hao spoke gravely. "However, my body hasn't adapted to this realm's aura. I need energy to stabilize." Nick tilted her head half-dazed. "You're the Blood Clan. Isn't blood your source of life? Only blood can restore your strength, can it not?" She brushed aside her hair, revealing a pale neck. "Please take it. Offering my blood," Ismail stared at her skin as primal urges surged within him. The demon god blood in him roared, awakening his ancient self. He could no longer restrain the hunger screaming inside. In a flash, he bent down, fangs sinking deep into that white neck. As the sweet blood spread, scorching energy burst through him like living magma. The affection stat rose further, reaching 92%. The system announced, new skill, blood fusion activated, and +1 strength point. Nick's body trembled, gasping in ecstasy. This harmony is divine. Heron ignored everything and opened the system panel to check his new skill. Blood fusion, the ability to absorb opposite gender blood to gain random attributes, usable once per target. A seemingly small point, yet with accumulation, it becomes limitless power. That thought made his eyes gleam with a predator's chill. He ordered curtly. Nick continued donating blood. The demon ES shivered melting voice. As much as you desire, my lord. Han shook his head, gazed deep. Not only you. I need more blood, fresher, stronger. The more I take, the greater my power. The demons blushed, laughing seductively. We're included too. How exciting. As they lunged in wild frenzy, Heron calmly accepted without hesitation. No one knew for sure how long that blood-red madness lasted. Was it a fleeting moment or half an hour? None could tell. The system kept flashing, notifications of stat boosts pouring like rain. The demons collapsed, eyes hazy in nameless chaotic pleasure. Their souls seemed to merge with the demon blood power, touching divine void. Hen was engulfed by the flood of immense energy surging into him. He merely brushed their necks, yet the effect was shockingly intense. Was it the sensitivity of their demonic bodies or the demon god's allure beyond comprehension? The moon hung high as the night deepened into the third watch. The door creaked open softly amid the silence. Nick appeared, gaze alluring. My lord, I've come. It was too crowded then. You didn't truly release all your power, did you? She stepped closer, whispering moistly. Tonight, just us two. Let me feel the truth of your bloodline. Then she bowed willingly, body trembling and offering, but upon touching a strange cold sensation made her freeze. Pulling back the blanket, Nick went pale. Beneath her hand was only emptiness. Heron had gone, leaving a faint trace of fading warmth. You really left? She whispered, heart aching. Is something more important than me? At that moment, Heron stepped into a dead land, veiled in toxic mist and ghostly air. He stood amid howling winds, hearing wails of lost souls. His eyes were icy, piercing the endless darkness. Shinzi Jiang, wait. To avenge myself, I must surpass all. He knew this place held awakened corpses that would come if he released demonic energy. As predicted, the stench of blood spread, stirring evil energy across the ground. Demonic fog surged through the forest, carrying death's breath across the land. The earth trembled, green ghost flames flickering like eyes of demons. Who dares disturb our slumber? A dark voice echoed, shaping figures in the mist. Slowly, faceless wraiths emerged, bodies of smoke, featureless, exuding thick, cold air. Though low-ranked, their killing intent was sharp as they lunged like a starving horde. Wuherin stood firm amid the storm, calm as stone despite being only level 1. But with massive accumulated stats, he had reached 50 far beyond human limits. Those weak, faceless wraiths were unworthy of his concern. Within minutes, the battle ended cleanly. The spirits were torn apart, scattering into blood mist under the night wind. The system chimed rapidly. EXP gained. New skill learned. Blood Flash Step grants 2 instant moves within 5 seconds. His level surged to 8, gaining 40 free attribute points. Hin opened the status panel, eyes cold and calculating strength, endurance, and speed, the 3 pillars of survival. Already owning a mobility skill, he invested all points in his strength and endurance for melee combat. Warning, the system alarm blared. Danger approaching fast. Through the fog appeared a giant over 4 meters tall, clad in thick black armor, wielding a massive golden-bladed weapon. Level 2 beast, Executioner. Huge yet moving like wind. Boom! Its blade crashed down, splitting the ground with thunderous force. Heron reacted instantly, leaping backward to dodge within a blink. As he landed, swish, a steel chain shot toward him like lightning. Damn it! He flipped midair, narrowly evading death. Escaping the strike, his breath grew heavy. A cold gust brushed his neck, sending shivers down his spine. Death was near. He realized this enemy could not be Boom. The Executioner spun, great blades slicing the air, murderous aura swirling like a storm. Whoosh! Heron unleashed Blood Flash Step, body turning into crimson light, dashing before the foe. He launched a fierce kick aimed at its temple, but the thunderous blow was completely absorbed by the black armor. The chance turn trapped the chain shot from its waist, striking the spot he'd just teleported from. Without hesitation, Hin used Blood Flash Step again, body dissolving into red mist. He landed heavily but safely beyond the attack range. Damn it, this thing's combo is too tight. Hard to find a weak spot, he growled. Amid the chaos, he managed to snatch a weapon from the executioner's back. Howen immediately allocated 80% of his stats into strength, turning himself into a destructive war machine. With newfound power, he easily overpowered and finished the chain wielder in just a few strikes. The level 2 beast fell and disintegrated, blood and smoke merging into the night. Extraneous segment removed from context. As his blade pierced the target's core, the system announced new skill unlocked. Blood Domain Annihilation. At that moment, the executioner's name turned from gold to green. That proved the foe had lost all threat. Without hesitation, he activated the new skill, Blood Domain Annihilation. Boom! The ground split open, blood energy erupting like a raging river. Crimson spears shot upward, impaling the executioner's body, turning it to ash amid horrifying screams. After slaying 2 more level 2 monsters, the system sounded. Title achieved. Undying Slayer Puz 5% damage against undead creatures. All night, Howen fought in blood and fire, reaching level 11, yet still far below Chunzi Yung, the Diamond Peak Ting. The daily quest was updated before dawn. He must drain the blood of a living woman or lose 5 attribute points. Reading carefully, Hao Nian realized the demon god system originated from ancient vampire bloodlines. But all the demons in the village had been drained by him. None survived. His only remaining chance was the wandering female spirits in the Deadlands. His eyes rested on the corpse of a female, ghost fallen last night. He knelt, attempting to draw the last drop of blood from her cold body. But the system replied coldly. Specimen decomposed. Blood fusion impossible. Damn it, he growled. The target's blood has lost all life energy. In panic, he frantically tried, draining nearby souls, but the same reply came. Blood gripping his head, regret pierced his heart. I destroyed all life sources myself. Utter fool. Muttering through the fog, he searched. A woman. I need a living woman. At that moment, in his former room, Nick lay under the blanket, inhaling his lingering scent. The warmth stirred her heart. Then her body froze as a faint telepathic call echoed. Lord Demon God, you are summoning me. Elsewhere, through the mist, Howen looked up. Bam! A Mercedes-Benz shot through the night toward him. The two inside sensed strange demonic energy. One eagerly thought it a rare beast. He dreamed of promotion if he captured and delivered the creature to the corporation. The passenger warned they didn't know what kind of being it was. In the back seat, a woman crossed her arms, mocking the men's cowardice. Her cold voice said she'd handle the report, ridiculing the corporation's methods. She guaranteed their safety, but warned, whoever senses demonic energy first will live. The Mercedes roared, breakdown 9. Hounan squinted, hoping there was a woman inside. A spark of hope flared. The doors opened. 2 muscular men stepped out, identifying him as the target, noting his level 2 energy. Disappointed they were all men, he realized they came to hunt him and tensed up. Then another figure quietly stepped out of the car. Hao Nan's eyes widened. It was truly a woman. She brushed her hair, looked at him coldly, called him a level 2 bloodkin, and ordered the 2 men to act. His heart raced at the sight of a real woman, then hardened with resolve. Tragically, she was a pseudo-saint of the Golden Emperor rank far beyond him. Her title radiated authority. Even her 2 subordinates alone could overwhelm him. Waiting for fate was unacceptable. A thought flashed how none used Blood Shadow Flash, turning into a blur and vanishing. Instantly his figure appeared behind Li Shuini like an invisible trap. He wrapped his arms around her slender waist, dizzy from her softness. An awkward moment arose as he touched a sensitive spot, making Li Shuini blush and panic. The 2 assisting men roared in fury, demanding he release her with violent intent. But it was too late for them to intervene. Lyhonian beard gleaming fangs, eyes cold as blades. He bent down, bit her white neck, murmuring as he completed the quest and boosted his power stats. No one had ever touched her before, yet now bitten by a vampire, she trembled from strange, alluring sensations. A loud explosion erupted. Powerful spirit energy shaking the air. Liha then was blasted away, body flung like a dry leaf in the wind. Before hitting the ground, he glimpsed a system message above Li Sui. Affection plus 30%. But her eyes were veiled with icy hatred. She angrily vowed to turn him into an ice statue to cleanse her shame. He chuckled inwardly, teasing that her tough words hit a softer heart, making Li Jane hesitate. She retorted sharply, but her gaze revealed faint emotional turmoil. He smiled secretly, believing he still had a chance since she hadn't truly attacked yet. But at that moment, disaster struck. A razor-sharp card flew by, carrying deadly cold aura. Lu and I calmly raised her hand, halting the card midair with invisible force. She coldly ordered the hidden assailants to reveal themselves, voice like ice cracking on stone. From the deep forest, two strangers emerged, one tall, one short, sharply contrasting. The tall one mocked, the short one smirked, suggesting handing Li Yin to the elite center. He gritted his teeth, daring at facing two more golden rank fighters. But Luin replied indifferently, her tone frozen. "You're daydreaming." She declared Li Yin was prey of the Hongshan pavilion, while he grinned slightly, flattering her and mocking the two. Affection rose sharply to 40%. But Lin still coldly stated he belonged to Hongshan, and to claim him, they must kill her first. Li Yin praised her aura, making the two opponents lower their heads. He sarcastically complimented them, then mocked them as nameless drifters. The red-haired man squinted, signaling his blue-haired ally to prepare for battle. 3 magic charge cards shot toward Lin like blades, but she merely lifted her hand lightly as if brushing off dust. Instantly, a blizzard surged, icy air tearing through the sky and engulfing the battlefield. Tens of thousands of snowflakes swirled like silver dragons, blinding the blue-haired man. The red-haired man laughed, praising her wit and clever blizzard tactic, teasing his ally for facing a true expert. But Li Shuini realized her spell had been dispelled while he remained calm, angering her as killing intent surged. She ordered her 2 bronze-level subordinates to only guard Li Hanin and not interfere. Like a silver arrow, she soared into the sky, body graceful as flowing silk. Her arm waved elegantly, yet full of power. From her palm, an icy rose gleamed coldly and shot toward the blue-haired man. He laughed mockingly, thinking she was toying with him but moments later, the ice rose exploded into a giant block, descending like a meteor. The blue-haired man was completely frozen, turned into a rigid ice statue. The red-haired man froze, then sighed, lamenting his comrade's defeat by a woman embarrassed beyond words. Lu and I pressed if he looked down on women, declaring he'd be next. But the red-haired man smirked, saying she misunderstood the situation. Before his words ended, sharp whistling sounds filled the air. Heart-shaped arrows suddenly struck, piercing the 2 bronze-level subordinates instantly. Both turned into stiff statues in an instant, losing all reaction. Li and the red-haired man stopped, turning toward the source of the arrows. It was a third combatant, not a stranger, but a level 3 demonist of the Meyer clan. As soon as she appeared, Maya rushed to hug Li Han, sweetly calling his name, leaving him shocked yet pleased. Hyan asked in confusion how she found this place. Nick smiled brightly, saying she felt her master's intense desire, and came regardless, ready to sacrifice herself in service. Her devotion moved Li Yin, making him proud to have such a loyal follower. Nick proudly declared that serving Heian was the greatest honor of her life. The affectionate scene made Luin's heart tremble with discomfort, as if her icy core was cracking. She blamed herself for trembling, denying jealousy and reasoning it was because Liha then turned her subordinates to stone. Without hesitation, Luini roared and charged at Maya, ordering her to lift the spell immediately. At that moment, the red-haired man blocked her path arrogantly, mocking that she had aimed at the wrong target. He unleashed a palm strike imbued with upper golden spiritual pressure, countering with crushing force. Li Shuai was hurled dozens of meters away, hitting the ground and carving a deep trench. The red-haired man crossed his arms, scorning her as lower golden rank, then turned his heavy gaze toward Han Nan and Maya. The system in Han Nian's mind announced, when a pursuer's affection reaches 100%, a secret reward unlocks. Survival now requires a life or death gamble. The red-haired man advanced slowly, ambition burning now both the demonist and bloodkin as prey stirred his greed. He coldly calculated that capturing them would make his father respect him and elevate his standing in the clan. Nick lost control, unleashing a rain of heart-shaped blades toward the red-haired man. The blades struck his impenetrable defense harmlessly. He sneered and stepped forward. In an instant, he closed in on Nick and coldly ordered die. Just as the strike neared, a ghost-like figure lunged in and grabbed Nick to save her. Li Hanyin used Crimson Phantom Mirage, vanishing with Nick from his foe's sight. The red-haired man froze, unable to locate them, muttering that such speed surpassed a level 2 beast. Deep in the forest, Li Hao Nun reappeared, carrying Nick princess style, landing softly on the leaves. He knew all his escape skills were exhausted, and there was no retreat left. The only option was to make Nick's affection absolute to unlock the system's reward. He lifted May's chin, smiling gently and subtly, asking for a kiss. Nick hesitated not a moment. He leaned down and kissed her lips audibly with a clear sound. Nick's affection instantly surged to 99%. From afar, the red-haired man witnessed it all, his face turning pale. Enraged at the romantic display amid battle, he mocked the beastly behavior. Burning with fury, he swore to crush the two monsters into dust. With a thunderous boom, he shot toward Li Hao Nan like lightning. But boom, a transparent ice barrier suddenly appeared, blocking his charge. He halted, squinting at the frozen wall before him. Li Wei Nai appeared in midair, coldly, declaring she spared him for Hong Chang's sake, but warned any who sought the blood must defeat her first. At that moment, Nick's body trembled violently as her affection hit 100% and the system activated. The secret reward unlocked. For 10 minutes, Nick gained unmatched combat power, usable once. The ice barrier above began to crack apart. A brutal aura erupted, flooding the air with thick blood scent and terrifying might. In the red mist, Li Han emerged, transformed long black hair, glowing red eyes, murderous aura raging as he challenged the red-haired man. The red-haired man broke into cold sweat, horrified by the overwhelming power from a mere level 2 beast. Li Han calmly raised his hand, activating Demon Palm of Malice. A demonic suction dragged the man like a puppet, his skin turning green as all resistance vanished. He trembled, begging and weeping for mercy and hopeless terror. Li Han replied coldly, utterly unmoved. He said moments ago, your tone wasn't so soft. The red-haired man spat blood, kneeling and pleading desperately for forgiveness. The sight rekindled Li Han's memories of past humiliation under the elite center, hardening his gaze to ice. He flung the foe aside like trash, then threw a storm-like punch straight into the red-haired man's chest. The devastating blow hurled him backward into the ice block, imprisoning his comrade. A cracking sound echoed as the ice seal shattered. A single strike failed the upper golden evolutionist, leaving him motionless. The sight left stunned, doubting if the once weak man before her was still the same. Nick trembled with excitement beside him, openly worshipping her master. At that moment, the blue-haired Jungji broke free from the last ice binding him. He gritted his teeth, declaring he would now fight seriously after his mistake. But before he could act, Li Honian gently waved his cloak. From it, countless black bats poured out thick as ink. The swarm engulfed Jungji, devouring him within a pitch-black shroud. His screams and struggles faded, leaving eerie silence. When the bats dispersed, only a white skeleton remained. The system instantly promoted Li Nan to the male rank, a leap like a dragon's rise. In his mind, a notification rang. Skill: Bloodstorm Abyss permanently unlocked. The red-haired man was nearly paralyzed, making only faint, hopeless sounds like a wordless lament. Li Han tilted his head, pretending not to hear, and asked the man screamed hororously for mercy, claiming his father was the CEO of the elite center, promising anything for his life. Hearing this, Li Han smiled coldly, eyes sharp as blades. Then let me help you. He raised his hand slightly, making the man's body levitate. The man shouted thanks in terror, while Hao Nan replied calmly that he did it simply because he wanted to. Then he swung his arm forcefully, as if firing an arrow into the sky. A thunderous explosion followed as the red-haired man turned into a streak of light shooting into the clouds. Li Wenyi froze, shocked he could literally send his foe flying home. The light streak soared over mountains, pierced the clouds, and impaled the massive stone hall of the elite center. A deafening blast resounded as the red-haired man's body crashed through the central hall. The ground quacked, debris flew, and waves of spirit energy scattered everywhere. At the same time, the system announced in Howen's ear that he had leveled up 5 times in a row. It meant the red-haired man had returned home with his final breath. After wiping out the elite sense remnants, Howen turned toward Li Shui. She flinched, body stiff, thinking it was now her turn to die. But he only looked at Nick, saying he wanted to test something and needed her help. Nick gently agreed without hesitation. Suddenly, her eyes changed, body trembling violently as energy burst within her. An ancient power gathered in her chest like a spirit beast awakening. From Nick's chest emerged a crimson sword hilt glowing with bloodlight. She gasped, whispering it was her master's sacred blade. The pressure made her tremble and plead, begging him to draw it gently. Li Han swiftly caught her, assuring it was only a soul resonance reaction that would soon pass. He then drew the full sword, admiring the Bloodblade Brexen, a murderous weapon forged from level 3 beast essence, radiating deadly aura. Lunai stood speechless, unable to believe her eyes as the sword emerged from another's chest. She gritted her teeth, eyes cold, questioning if he needed that weapon to duel or was merely testing himself. Li Hanin didn't bother to explain, simply swung the sword like painting a stroke in the sky. The sword aura sliced through the air, shredding her clothes into tatters. In an instant, she was left with only a thin layer barely covering her body. Lai panicked, covering her chest, blushing furiously, and shouted why he would humiliate her so. Hao Nin calmly sheathed his sword, coldly saying it was just a test, then ordered her to follow into the forest or face a brutal end. She hesitated, bit her lip, then quietly obeyed. In the silent forest, the rustling wind whispered eerily. Her face burned as doubt and confusion swirled. Surely, he had another motive for calling her suddenly. She realized he must have feelings for her, blushing as she imagined him claiming her, though she admitted his strange charm. A terrifying thought flashed. Did he plan to force her? But before the thought could take shape, a strong force pinned her against a tree. Her heart pounded wildly as she thought he would truly take her. His hot breath brushed her ear, his deep voice ordering her to repeat the oath of absolute loyalty. She froze, heart racing, confused by his intent. Li Hanan was cold and commanding, his tone that of a ruler, icy and threatening. Under invisible pressure, Luani obediently recited the oath word for word. When it ended, the system confirmed. Li Hanan had subdued his second subordinate, Li Shuini, human of lower golden rank. He leaned close, his gentle praise flustering her, heart pounding as she thought he would kiss her, blushing deeply, believing she belonged to him. Luani panicked, heart fluttering, closing her eyes, waiting for a kiss that never came. But he stopped abruptly, stepping back calmly, saying it was just a reward, leaving her hollow and disappointed. Before leaving, he instructed her to keep his existence secret. He turned away indifferently, showing no attachment. A sudden call stopped him. She reached to hold him back. He paused, squinting teasingly, hinting she still desired more. Lu and I blushed awkwardly, begging him to help cover her current state before her allies awoke. He stayed silent, draped his cloak over her shoulders, and walked away, leaving behind warmth and a lingering scent that stirred her heart. She clutched the cloak, emotions tangled, realizing how unfathomable he was and feeling a deep affection bloom. Darkness cloaked the world, silent like a mystic veil. Li Hanyin opened his status interface, calmly reviewing his stats and achievements. Suddenly, the system displayed a new alert. The Blood Domain tournament was now accessible. Warning, no experience rewards. Injuries won't heal, making him hesitate between reason and desire. After brief thought, he chose not to delay and commanded the arena to activate. He believed glory belonged only to those who dared risk everything, never to those waiting for luck. With firm resolve, he stepped into the teleport gate, eyes sharp as blades. As he crossed the spatial threshold, his body trembled, signs of mutation appeared. His torn armor suddenly regenerated perfectly, fresh as if never damaged. The system's cold voice echoed, "Enter preparation zone. Select weapon for battle." Countless glowing weapons appeared before him, each radiating unique power. The system's voice stressed the importance of wise selection. He frowned and used to wielding any weapon. Amid the arsenal, he couldn't find one that suited him. While pondering, his eyes stopped on a strange, unseen object. A cucumber non-lethal, but capable of temporary paralysis when struck repeatedly. He stared, feeling a bizarre resonance, then chose it without hesitation, as if fate had decided. The system presented 3 enhancements: armor break, regeneration, and random forge, each glowing like destined rewards. Trusting his warrior instinct, he chose armor break, the swiftest and most practical option. A violent thunderbolt exploded, light slicing through the void. His body was sucked into the vortex of light, transported to the brutal death arena. Before him unfolded a colossal coliseum, stands packed with spectators, air thick with blood and ancient glory. A voice echoed like death itself, chilling all who heard. From the center stepped the commentator Marzali, seductive, thrill for the coming massacre. On the first battle tier appeared a strange phantom, the guardian of the blood domain, embodiment of fear and darkness. Seeing the female figure, Liha Nien hesitated, questioning the endless weeping sound. The spirit bowed ritualistically, tears flowing, calling herself Nu Yao Tang, the medium between life and death. She looked up at him, tearful, saying she mourned the death aura surrounding his body. Lihin stood silent, noting the system showed no rank for her. His instinct warned danger as killing intent flared. He waved his hand, summoning swarms of bloodbats from the void. The bats stormed forward, raging like crazed beasts attacking prey. But with a few graceful motions, the spirit erased everything. The entire swarm turned to ash instantly, vanishing without trace. Then her figure itself dissolved, leaving a chilling emptiness. In a heartbeat, she reappeared behind him like a wind-borne specter. Yet he remained calm, unfazed. With a cold smile, he declared he had already trapped her and prepared to strike with his signature spiral cucumber technique. Weapon ready, he waited for the decisive moment. Suddenly, a lightning-fast kick shot toward his face like thunder. In a flash, the spiral weapon was knocked out of attack range. But he reacted instantly, seizing her ankle and yanking hard, making her lose balance and fall awkwardly. He smiled coldly, then slammed her down onto the arena floor. Bending down, he mocked her panic before his artifact with contempt. He declared all power focused into strength and told her resistance was futile. Suddenly, the demon woman burst into heartbreaking cries, echoing eerily. The gloomy sobs sounded like wailing spirits shattering the silence. The fierce sound waves surged violently, tearing through the space like a storm. Lihan was blown away by the sonic blast, his body tossed like a dry leaf. It turned out that was her ultimate technique. Crimson Cry and F.A. The horrifying cry stirred the soul, awakening primal fear of extinction. It corroded the spirit like poison, slowly eroding the will. Victims were drawn into an endless abyss of despair. He too was dragged into a dark illusion, powerless to resist. In the illusion, his deceased mother appeared gentle yet distant. She reached out, calling softly, promising release from pain. That kindness hid an eerie, unnatural aura. With one step forward, he could leave the world of suffering forever. But deep inside, his iron will affirm death had never frightened him. Tragic memories flooded back. Betrayal, sacrifice, illness, his mother's blood, and tears all made him stronger. A blast shattered the illusion. He opened his eyes, gaze blazing like fire. He picked up his spiral artifact, the blood shadow cucumber, ready to counterattack. His body blurred, fading in a mist to prepare a lethal strike. The demon woman remained calm, still sobbing mournfully. The cries intensified, turning into deadly sound waves filling the air. Each sob became an invisible blade, sweeping away all life in the arena. At the climax, he suddenly appeared before her, gripping his weapon, eyes sparking. He coldly commanded, "Swallow it," forcing the spiral object in her mouth, silencing the wails. Her body trembled violently as the breaking hand skill fully activated. He withdrew the artifact, his gaze cold as sharpened steel. Then he lunged like lightning, unleashing a flurry of attacks with a strange weapon. Each strike hit a weak point, sending shock waves through her body. The demon woman was horrified. A harmless cucumber had drained her strength, leaving her defenseless. Lihan calmly continued, mocking her, saying the real fight hadn't even started. He unleashed a storm-like combo, making her body tremble as strange sensations erupted within. She completely lost control, paralysis visible on the screen. A dry explosion sounded, and her body collapsed without resistance. When the dust settled, she knelt, trembling pitifully. Even though he stopped, the aftershocks made her convulse, begging for mercy and admitting defeat. The female commentator was stunned and terrified, her voice trembling at the shocking scene. Lihan frowned, urging for the result. Sally snapped back and hurriedly confirmed it. The announcement echoed. The demon woman Botang was defeated. The victor, Lihan, qualified for the second tier. 2 radiant illusory rewards appeared before him. One increased resistance to effects. The other enhanced existing skills. Since his body hadn't recovered, he decided to pause before advancing further. He entered the teleport gate, leaving the arena and returning to Witch Village. But at that moment, the system emitted an unprecedented signal. The message revealed a hidden skill. Victor's Pact, allowing him to subdue and summon defeated foes as followers. He smirked, eyes gleaming with excitement, imagining an immortal army of absolute loyalty. But 2 voices from the inner chamber made him stop his thoughts. Without hesitation, he pushed the door open. A shocking sight appeared. The witch Nikari lay gasping, her face flushed with strange emotion. She was still lost in lingering ecstasy, her expression dreamy as if trapped in illusion. He froze, stunned speechless by the awkward scene. Not panicked, fumbling for words, her trembling voice full of guilt. She hurriedly explained she only came to gift a new robe, replacing the one he had given the human girl. Lee Heron gently placed his hand on Nikki's head, caressed softly, and smiled, saying, thanks to her, he lacked nothing, and he'd keep the gift for himself. His words pierced Nikki's heart, filling her with bliss, as if hearing a fateful confession. Suddenly, the ground shook violently. Explosions shattered the peaceful air. A beastmen army stormed in, flooding which village like a raging tempest. They were ferocious creatures, eyes burning with inhuman cruelty. They bound every woman tightly, chaining each one. No one was spared. All were captured. The horde ransacked every house, looting valuables and supplies. From gold to weapons, nothing escaped their claws. Suddenly, 3 blinding beams shot from afar. 3 beastmen froze instantly, turning to stone in a blink. Their leader spun around, roaring in fury at the unseen attacker. Nika stepped forth proudly, voice filled with rage, warning they'd pay with their lives if they didn't retreat. The leader sneered, mocking her as weak, armed with nothing but empty threats. The minions howled, brandishing weapons, charging like maddened beasts. But the ground split open. Countless bloody spikes pierced through all. Lee Heron emerged from crimson mist, making Nikki sigh in relief. He walked forward slowly, his calm voice echoing like an oath. Don't worry, leave everything to me. The commander frowned, shocked at a bloodline warrior siding with witches. Lee Heron glanced at him, voice cold as steel, warning him not to lead himself to death. The enemy snorted disdainfully, mocking him for protecting an inferior race. The air fell into deadly silence before Lee Heron's voice rang out like a death sentence, declaring they had crossed the final line and would pay the price. He raised his hand, activating Victor's pact as chaotic energy burst across the sky. From the crimson light emerged a familiar figure, demon woman Bo Tang, now his loyal subordinate. Nikiko widened her eyes in awe, whispering admiration at Lee Heron's summoning power. The Beastman captain laughed mockingly, belittling the weak demon, unaware he had signed his own death. Bang lifted her hand, chanting the hellish incantation, Crimson Cry and F.A. Instantly, the battlefield quacked, her wails echoing through the sky, driving the beastmen insane in agony. Their minds collapsed. Self-destructive thoughts surged like a toxic tide. Weaker ones lost control, committing suicide in panic, blood painting the square red. Only the captain remained frozen, trembling as sweat poured down like rain. He struggled to stand firm, forcing himself to endure for the honor of the Beast Clan. But before he could react, a meteorite strike descended from above. Lee Heron stepped forward, thunderous voice demanding if murder and plunder were the glory he praised, then vowed to defend the village's honor. With that, he turned into a crimson flash, diving into battle in fury. His opening moves danced like a blood-soaked waltz within a mist. Then he unleashed Bloodstorm Surge, creating a blazing red tempest, tearing through space. Hundreds of bloodbats swooped down savagely, yet the beast's thick hides endured some damage. At the same time, Nikki and Bo Tang attacked from opposite sides. Their triangular assault struck like thunder, exploding repeatedly as the ground trembled. Under such pressure, even third-rank monsters couldn't withstand. The beast leader let out one final roar before collapsing heavily to the ground. Lee Heron stared coldly at the corpse, thinking mercy toward enemies was suicide. He cast Blood Domain Burial, the thick red mist coiling and erasing all traces of life. After the slaughter, his power surged, aura blazing like fire. Not immediately checked the village, confirming everyone was safe with minor injuries. The witch villagers looked at him with reverent gratitude, their faith in him stronger than ever. Lee Heron smiled, praising Bang for subduing the beastmen with her cries. The demon woman blushed and bowed humbly, saying serving her master was her greatest honor. Han recalled his daily blood need and calmly told her to follow him. The two left the village, entering a silent forest filled only with wind and heartbeats. He suddenly bit her neck, drinking her blood as she trembled, feeling warmth drain away. She felt confused, recalling past torment, questioning the meaning of this duty, yet accepted it as his command. After finishing, Han spoke firmly that this was no personal pleasure. He explained it was a survival necessity for the Blood Clan to sustain vitality. Han noticed Bang acting strangely and worried he had drained too much of her blood. She gasped, confessing her body became overly sensitive and uncontrollable around him. Before finishing, she vanished, overwhelmed by chaotic emotions. In which village? Nikari pondered how to thank the savior of the village and was advised that feelings can't always be spoken. Nika hesitated, thinking Han only cared about battles and already had many women around him. She felt insecure about her plain looks and clumsy nature. Fearing she couldn't please Han, her friends teased, realizing she feared not being feminine enough for the great man. Nika admitted she had tried to get close, but failed each time. One sister advised her to change her aura so Heron couldn't ignore her. Nika hesitantly asked about the method mentioned. The companion leaned in, whispering an invitation to join the demon coming-of-age ritual. After hearing it, Nika cast aside her doubts and agreed to attend the ritual. The other smiled mysteriously and released a stream of mystical light. The beam turned into a magical sigil engraved on Nikki's lower abdomen, marking her demonic maturity. At that time, Heron was restoring his demonic energy, redistributing power to boost endurance and mental limits. The soft creak of a door signaled someone entering. Nika appeared wearing only a towel, declaring she knew how to repay the village's savior. Heron paused his training, startled by her odd behavior, while Nika's eyes lingered on his muscular form. Nika tried to suppress her emotions, but her body reacted. She dropped the towel, revealing the glowing sigil etched on her skin. Heron noticed the demonic mark, sensing something abnormal rather than seduction. The system issued a warning, confirming he was immune to all charm effects. The entity that bestowed the mark sensed the failure, realizing the bearer would suffer backlash. It panicked upon recalling Han was a blood demon god beyond the sigil's control. Heron sternly asked Nikki about the origin of the glowing mark. The backlash triggered and Nikki writhed in pain as chaotic demonic energy surged inside her. She trembled, begging Horon to help free her from the control. He immediately held her close, trying to stabilize and protect her. Even amid delirium, Nikki insisted she was willing to give herself to Han no matter the outcome. Events unfolded uncontrollably like a wheel of fate spinning without direction. They shared a wild night together, shaking the small room violently. At dawn, sunlight streamed through the window, marking time's swift passage. Upon waking, Nikki regained awareness and sensed her body had changed. She discovered a powerful energy spreading through her, her cultivation level rising sharply. Nika secretly suspected the strength came from her union with Heron the night before. Though the sigil failed, she still felt pleasure beyond imagination for being completely claimed by him. The system warned that Nikki had absorbed blood demon essence, reaching fourth realm lower stage. But the effect was one time only. Heron realized he could help others level up, but Nick's strength now exceeded his control. Seeing Hin's surprised expression, Nika misunderstood, thinking she had disappointed him by not repaying properly. Before she could speak, the system ordered Heron to drain another of the opposite sex before dawn, prompting him to ask Nikki about nearby beast. Nika recalled tales of a brutal beastmen clan beyond the forest, one that included female beasts. The two immediately set out toward that tribe. At the camp gate, Heron declared it was the place that once oppressed the villagers, urging Nikki to take revenge herself. He sternly instructed her to spare the female beastmen and wanted to witness her newfound strength. Na nodded, filled with determination, knowing this was an opportunity granted by her master. Energy flared violently around her. The surge of power alerted the beastmen in the camp, all eyes turning toward her. Na clenched her fists, eyes blazing with hatred, vowing to unleash her fury on the lowly beasts. With that, her terrifying power erupted like a great flood, sweeping away everything. Structures over a vast area were flattened. Countless beastmen vanished in an instant. All the battle experience was transmitted directly to Li Haoran. He smiled in satisfaction, confirming the familiar rule. The more his subordinates killed, the stronger he became. The encampment was reduced to a massive crater, proof of the devastation scale. Na floated midair, coldly declaring in the name of the blood demon god the annihilation of all beastmen. Two beastmen furiously resisted, cursing her arrogance and defying the blood demon god's name. Na instantly seized both their heads, speaking with disdain. She smashed their skulls together, brain matter splattering as they fell lifeless. From her hand, a black whip appeared, radiating chilling, demonic energy. Nikki smirked, declaring she would punish the foes with an ancient demon art. The whip lashed out, leaving a deadly streak across the sky. She commanded that none were to escape alive. The beastmen charged. The whip cracked through the air, each strike crushing bodies amid a storm of demonic energy. Horon's system continuously displayed level-up notifications. Experience soaring without pause. He smiled coldly, realizing his cultivation speed now far surpassed all expectations. Thanks to Nick's aid, the system unlocked a new skill, Dark Night Fusion, increasing speed in shadows and inflicting bleeding with every strike. Heirin felt the surge of energy and resolved that from now on the night would be his battlefield. When the battle ended, Nikiri stood amid pools of blood, sneering at the surviving beastmen and mocking their weakness. One enraged female beastman lunged at Nikiri, roaring a fierce challenge. But before she could finish, Lee Heirin appeared behind her through a teleport-like move. His demonic fangs pierced her neck. Blood gushed out like a fountain, and her life ended instantly. The massacre ended at dusk. The encampment reduced to ruins with no trace of its former inhabitants. The battle report recorded that Nikiri destroyed 178 enemies and captured 30 female beastmen. Lee Heirin looked at Nikiri with praise, noting her clear transformation after reaching the 4th rank, while she humbly credited his teaching. He shifted to testing her abilities, asking how long she could maintain petrification and ordering all captives brought back to the village for later use. He calculated pragmatically that though crude, the captives were the opposite sex and could be used gradually, easing his monthly task burden. Na presented him with a dark, glowing pearl, saying she found it during the battle. He measured the treasure and saw its info, Mosi Dan, which increased mana limits and concealed demonic aura. He realized swallowing the pill would hide him from all detection as if erased from every perception. The thought struck him instantly with this. Even the Elder Stone evolvers couldn't track him. The time for revenge had come. The next morning, when Nikiri learned Hao was departing, she couldn't hide her worry and confusion. He smiled softly, assuring her she'd done excellently, and said the trip was personal and short. Then he entrusted Botang with authority, assigning her temporary command and the mission to purge beasts within 10 miles of the village. Before leaving, he carefully reminded them how to handle female beasts per the set rules, then departed into the bright mist. Botang whispered, asking the reason for his journey, but Nikiri shook her head, saying she couldn't fathom Howland's intent. Elsewhere, a human girl had fallen hopelessly in love with a vampire. Every night, she could only sleep by burying her face in the jacket carrying his scent. But this morning, as she barely opened her eyes, she heard heavy breathing nearby, like someone training to exhaustion. Lai blinked rapidly, sitting up in confusion. It turned out the vampire had slipped into her room unnoticed and just finished a series of physical drills. Juni froze, clothes disheveled, while Hin calmly asked if he had woken her. The question startled her, but she quickly regained composure after a moment's daze. She hurriedly asked when he had entered why she couldn't sense his aura and how he knew her address. Heirin coldly replied that since she had sworn loyalty, he could locate her anytime, then gave a teasing smile. He said visiting a subordinate required no notice, though this time he came for another purpose. He asked her to investigate a diamond-tier evolver named Chun from the Elite Center and find his recent missions. As the leader of the Hongchuan Corporation, Shweeny agreed immediately since she had access to such intel. Heirin nodded but hesitated, prompting Shweeny to urge him to speak freely, promising not to hide anything. Instead of staying serious, he grinned slightly and teased that she had been sleeping while hugging his jacket, murmuring his name all night. His words turned her to mush, her face flushed red, and she fell silent. In truth, last night she dreamed of the two merging in a burning, endless passion. At the climax, her alarm blared cruelly, ripping her from the dream. Flustered, she avoided his gaze, mumbling that she'd be late for work and would handle the task after hours. Seeing her flustered look, Lihurin chuckled softly, implying the dream wasn't as innocent as she claimed. The scene shifted to the underground garage of Hongchuan Group. Lai Shweeny walked, still recalling the dream, her cheeks tinted pink. She scolded herself in embarrassment, worrying he might have seen it and wondering how to face him again. Lost in thought, a strange voice called out, making her stop and turn. A man with an icy gaze approached, asking about the strange mana outbreak in the remote zone she once investigated. He spoke through clenched teeth, saying his brother, Du, and his team had died on that mission. He said his brother's body was thrown atop the Elite Center and demanded why her team survived, while someone as strong as Du perished. Though wary of Dadai's power, Lin calmly asked if he was accusing her of killing his brother. Wang Mong grew impatient, urging Dadai to use force instead of words. He unleashed his fiery power, throwing a devastating punch that shook the air. The blow stopped just inches from her. Luani instantly raised an ice barrier in defense. Despite being outmatched, the solid ice wall absorbed the full impact of the strike. She coldly questioned the elite center for abusing authority under its influence. She warned that this was Hongchang Group's territory and she would fight to the end. Her firm stance made Dai calm down. He ordered Wang Ming to back off and sought to ease the tension. He softened his tone, saying he only wanted to know what she witnessed that day and any clues about his brother and the beasts. Luaney replied calmly that she found only bones and no trace, then bluntly asked if that satisfied him. Dai smiled meaningfully, hiding calculation in his eyes before leaving with Wang Mong. She stood silently watching, relieved, yet realizing she had become a surveillance target. She clearly understood Duet's rank and cunning nature, polite on the surface, but dangerously scheming and resolved to warn her team soon. At that moment, Dai suddenly bent over, dry heaving, confusing Wang Mong completely. In truth, his obsessive compulsion had flared. He couldn't stand Li's shoes, uneven hair strand. After regaining composure, he coldly ordered the capture of 2 members who had accompanied Lai Shui for questioning. He threatened that if any discrepancy was found in their statements, he would kill all 3 to bury with his brother. Meanwhile, Li Horan sat in meditation, absorbing experience, having just reached level 27 and earned the title Battlefield Commander. This title boosted all subordinate strength by 10%, far surpassing the previous rank. Li Shuini appeared with her luggage. Quietly entering the room, she handed over a detailed dossier on Qinzi Yung and the Diamond Pseudo Evolution team, reporting full mission data and a loud scope. Li Hanyin reviewed the list, eyes gleaming with interest, half-jokingly praised her thoroughness and softly thanked her. Li Nian blushed, pretending to be annoyed, but feeling secretly moved and more affectionate. He noticed the box she carried, and she solemnly presented it as a special gift prepared for him. Inside were rare herbs and equipment. She carefully helped him wear each piece, her gaze unwavering. Once equipped, his power stats soared, and the shining armor made him both amazed and embarrassed by its brightness. He questioned why she gave him such valuable treasures. She seriously revealed that the elite center had its eyes on him, and his opponent was a legend-level powerhouse. So, she wanted to increase his survival chance. Li Haonan stayed silent, moved, and hugged her tightly. He suddenly kissed her passionately, erasing all distance. Her emotions surged wildly, affection levels soaring to 83%. When they parted, Li Jane blushed deeply, her heart racing uncontrollably. He smiled in gratitude, but quickly regained his cold demeanor, saying he had important matters to handle. The door closed as he hid in the darkness, the armor's glow fading as he vanished like smoke. Lai stopped his vehicle at Shu Chengmi's gate, where classroom lights glowed in the quiet night. Inside, a girl with neatly tied hair, taking notes, was Xiao Yuyu, his biological sister. Outside, Li Hanyin hid in the shadows, using blood shadow technique to watch her silently, without leaving a trace. With deep eyes, he vowed not to reveal himself, knowing a single mistake could endanger her, clenching his fists in resolve to grow strong enough to protect her. Sho suddenly felt a strange, unfamiliar sensation wash over her. She looked out the window, seeing only silent darkness without signs of life. Her heart tightened with invisible emotion, tears falling without reason, sensing someone dear was nearby. The clock struck 10 p.m., marking the start of a new phase. Chen Zhen and his small team left the city to begin a secret mission. Every move was executed precisely, discreetly, and skillfully. After finishing, they checked results. A bald man laughed, praising Chen Zhen for killing a Tier 3 Volver by Shirong, saying he was fit for the silver rank. Chen Zhen coldly replied, ordering cleanup and rest, keeping emotions out. But a mocking, icy voice came from behind, making the whole team turn toward the figure, stepping out under the freezing moonlight. Li Hanyin appeared, his smile sharp as a blade, declaring, this night would be the end for the praised one. Chen Ziyung froze in terror, seeing the one he thought dead now alive and stronger than ever. Li Hanyin scoffed coldly, his deep voice declaring nothing impossible, recalling the betrayal years ago with killing intent. He stepped forward, eyes glowing red, vowing to reclaim the blood debt with the traitor's life. A buzzcut man mocked him, calling him mad for challenging a diamond tier captain despite being unevolved. He sneered at Li Haiyan's black outfit, justifying betrayal as being for the greater good. With arrogance, he told Li Haiyan to accept the past and stop making trouble. He tossed money dismissively, claiming a few bills were enough to end their feud. But a flash of a sword tore the night apart, cold and merciless like death's gleam. The blade struck so fast that no one even saw it move. A crack sounded as a head flew off, blood spraying like a fountain, freezing everyone in horror. All stood stunned, unable to comprehend what had happened. The team stared at Jiang Wei-mang's headless corpse collapsing, terrified beyond measure. Li Haiyan sheathed his sword, his icy voice stating he wanted only lives, not money or pity. Chenzi Jiang trembled in horror, realizing the foe showed no evolver aura, yet slew a diamond-tier warrior, shouting for the team to attack, to suppress fear. Lucian stepped up, sneering confidently, lightning swirling around him like silver serpents. He unleashed his power, immense electricity bursting from his hands, splitting the sky. A massive bolt struck, cleaving the ground and roaring like doomsday thunder. As smoke billowed, Lu Shun laughed arrogantly, believing his fatal strike had reduced the foe to ashes. But then a sharp sound rang out, signaling death's approach. When the smoke cleared, a blood spike had pierced Lu Shun's forehead, dropping him into a pool of crimson. Chenzi Jiang and his men froze, cold sweat dripping as terror replaced arrogance. Li Haiyan sneered, mocking their so-called peak power, saying that attack was no more than a mosquito bite. Chenzi Jiang, shaking, realized the enemy far exceeded imagination, ordering the team to unite and kill him. Li Haiyan smiled disdainfully, denying being alone, and raised his hand to activate the victory pact. A blood sigil flared, erasing 2 diamond-tier warriors instantly before they could scream. From the darkness emerged a seductive yet deadly female demon, laughing coldly at the fools who dared defy her master. 2 other shadows lunged from opposite sides, swift and ruthless like devils. Screams of agony echoed, shattering the night's silence. In moments, the entire squad was annihilated, blood soaking the ground, leaving only Chenzi Jiang alive as a subordinate asked permission to finish him. But Lian stopped him, eyes icy, saying he would personally end this debt. Chenzi Jiang faced him calmly, speaking venomously while admitting the strength of the one once despised. He smirked, pointing out Li Haiyan's demonic aura in battle and mocking how beasts called him master, declaring he was no longer human. Chenzi Jiang narrowed his eyes, voice hissing like poison, taunting that Li Haiyan had lost his humanity to hatred. The words made Li Haiyan tremble, fists clenched, his voice choked with rage as he questioned the man who had cast him into the abyss. Chenzi Jiang pulled out a vial of black fluid, laughing arrogantly, declaring he had prepared for this rematch and surpassed the Diamond Realm. He injected all the liquid into his neck, triggering forbidden power. His body convulsed violently, veins bulging as he laughed madly, boasting the drug could shatter evolution limits and make him invincible temporarily. His aura exploded, the ground cracking as he claimed to have reached supreme command level. Confident Li Haiyan could never win. Li Haiyan remained calm, saying the night was his domain where the enemy had no chance of survival. Chenzi Jiang sneered, dismissing the darkness as meaningless, trusting his superior speed and strength as he prepared to strike. He lunged like a raging beast attacking its prey. But instantly, countless shadows surrounded him midair. Li Haiyan's speed defied comprehension, leaving him frozen in terror as a dark blade of death sliced through the night. A dull thud sounded. The sword had pierced Chenzi Jiang's spine, unleashing excruciating pain. His muscles spasmed, nerves paralyzed. The strike wasn't fatal, but enough to drop him in agony. The shadow fusion effect caused continuous bleeding, his life force draining endlessly as if his soul were being extracted drop by drop. Bo Kong watched from afar with pleasure, realizing Li Haiyan was deliberately prolonging his foe's torment to savor. Chenzi Jiang roared in fury, calling out his opponent's name, demanding he face him directly. Gasping and cursing, he swore he would not fall before someone he deemed worthless. But instantly, Li Haiyan's black sword pierced his chest, freezing his body as cold blood spread within. Li Haiyan whispered in his ear that he would let him die by the very path he created, coldly mentioning an old friend thirsting for blood. He pulled the sword out sharply, severing the enemy's life without hesitation. Blood gushed out violently, staining the cold ground crimson in the dark night. Chenzi Jiang collapsed, eyes lifeless, utterly hopeless before fate. He stammered, begging for a quick death, voice weak as a fading breath. But Li Haiyan coldly opened a resurrection potion, mocking that killing him now was too easy, then forced him to revive just to prolong his suffering. The nearly dead body was forcibly pulled back from death, enduring pain beyond limits, a punishment destroying both body and soul. The sword fell again, shattering the knee with a gruesome crack echoing through the silent night. Screams echoed through the forest, blood splattering as his body trembled and his breath broke under waves of agony. Li Haiyan grabbed his collar, dragging him coldly, reminding him he'd continue the gift one strike every 5 seconds. He leaned close, whispering death sentence, promising to prolong Chunzi Young and LT, Unk NGT's agony before feeding him to a titan. The sight made Bakong shudder, yet she was entranced by her master's chilling cruelty. At that moment, in the elite center headquarters of Old Stone, a fiery secretary entered, her gentle yet grave voice reporting detection of an abnormal demonic energy signal. Though faint and unstable, it matched the target EU being hunted, located near Chinzi Jin's team's operation zone. Hearing this, Udai's face turned pale, fists clenched, realizing the fugitive had exposed a flaw. Deep in the forest, Li Neon kept dragging Chinzi Jing's blood trail, painting a crimson path on rotting leaves. He grabbed the enemy's hair, forcing his dying eyes open to face reality. He urged him to look closely and asked if he recognized it. Chun groaned weakly, begging not to be eaten alive. Li Haonan felt no pity, laughing coldly as he struck again, blood spraying to prolong the torment. As if discarding trash, he flung Chunzi Jing's body toward the massive titan. The beast smelled blood and instantly devoured Chinzi Jing without hesitation. Strangely, after eating, the creature turned away and did not attack Liaonan. He smirked, mocking that perhaps to it they were not enemies, affirming Chun was now ashes. Suddenly, a mystical energy enveloped him, his cultivation surging to level 30. The system chimed, announcing a new unlocked skill, Soul Resonance. When affection reaches its peak, merged souls create transcendent relics. Liaonan narrowed his eyes, smiling shrewdly, realizing soul resonance could break limits if affection and divine essence in an instant. Boang's affection rose to 50%, while Li Sunai's remained at 83%. He nodded slightly, thinking they were the next keys, but the system immediately warned of approaching danger, making him wary. Without hesitation, he recalled Bokong and vanished to retreat. From afar, a figure with black wings flew through the night. It was Udai. In less than 3 minutes, Udai landed at the spot Li and Neon had just left,